as always, that goes out to our working men, women, and children. Too busy working to listen to the show live, but that's why we do a rebroadcast for you. Second hour of Dead? The Jack Blood Show. After 10 years of announcing Deadline Live, deadlinelive.info, I get lost. It is the Jack Blood Show, and allegedly I'm Jack Blood, sitting in for Jack Blood. Second hour coming up. We're going to get out a little bit early today, and we'll take you backstage for the No Agenda show with Adam Curry and John Vorak. They're live today. We'll do that every Thursday. Great having you with us in the cockpit. Yeah, I said that on the radio. We have Potty Mouse. What are they doing in the Black Caucus today? I don't know. The Blackhawks, that's the Chicago Blackhawks. They are out of the playoffs. No, it's not the Howard Stern show. That's Rush. And that little clip is from the movie The Misfits. Great film where, I love this. You know, these guys, they're out and they're trying to find any way they can not to work for wages because they know how confining that is. They know that basically makes them indentured servants. I'm not saying that you guys are all indentured servants who are working for somebody, getting a check and working for wages and for salary. No, times have changed. We're all slaves now. Just to what degree, I guess, is the thing. Welcome back to the Jack Blood Show. We got Dan Dix with us. I'm going to play some of his music in the next break. Great activist. I love to see, our friends in other countries, and Canada technically is another country, but we can have that argument. Maybe Dan will get into that with us. And we got a lot of great supporters, fans, friends in Canada, including our web mistress, Kristen, who operates from Canada. And it's just great to see that this truth fever has caught on up there, and they're holding or trying to hold their trusted public officials accountable, and there's a lot of shenanigans going on up there. And they're spreading the truth. Pressfortruth.ca. His name is Dan Dix, and we have him now live on the Jack Blood Show. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Damn, you're coming through loud and clear. I'll back you off a little bit.
Okay.
You've warned us that there's a drill going on in your apartment building up there and that the alarms could go off at any time. I hope that's not special ops, as we saw in Miami the other night.
Oh, no. Yeah, I hope not. We'll see. It's scheduled for sometime between 9 and 5, so hopefully we'll be all right.
I hope that drill doesn't go live as it did on 9/11. We were talking about that earlier, Dan. Tell us about yourself, Dan, how you got into the, call it the truth movement, how you used your art for truth, and what pressfortruth.ca is all about.
Yeah, sure. Basically what we do is we cover a lot of events that generally mainstream media doesn't cover or will often put their own kind of spin on it. So we'll go out to various events and document what's going on and then put a lot of the footage on YouTube. So we make a lot of YouTube videos, and we also make documentary films, about subjects. We generally try to keep it somewhat Canadian content for the most part. But that's basically what we do is we just try to bring information to people that they're not getting from the mainstream. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I started it back in 2006 and a few years, so keeping active with the YouTube videos and the films.
What does this have to do with Press for Truth, the movie? Anything, or it's just you're just using the same terminologies?
No, it has nothing to do with that. I came up with the term with Press for Truth before that movie came out or before I even heard of it. I remember when the movie did come out, I remember thinking, people are going to think I came up with the idea after. But no, I thought of Press for Truth just kind of a little play on words. Press like press on, and press like the media, obviously. No connection to that film.
That's my life story, Dan. People stealing my ideas, and then I get accused of being the copycat. So trust me, I feel your pain, buddy.
Yeah.
That's a great film, though. And for people who are just getting started into 9/11 truth, that's a good place to start. I know a lot of people that are purists, that are heavy into the 9/11 truth movement. We're a little critical of it because they didn't feel it went far enough, etc. But it has all that Jersey Girl stuff in it. It really covers the 9/11 Commission. and the routine that was, the cover-up that it was, and gets into that Tora Bora, how we let the alleged Osama bin Laden go at Tora Bora. Then we killed him, threw his body in an ocean, and then we've just celebrated it again this May Day. What was your opinion on all of that? It's the 1-year anniversary, and of course we had the Underwear Bomber 2 that came out at the same time. Then we busted the Anarchist in, I think it was Ohio, crack work by our entrapment agency here. So they really rolled it out, and then Occupy launched again on May 1st, on May Day, the Illuminati wonderful little holiday they have. So I just threw a lot out there, Dan. Go ahead and start wherever you want. Osama bin Laden's dead, and Obama killed him. That's what we're going to hear all through the election. You want to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, we have been covering that lately, especially because of our latest DVD release. Is a film on 9/11. It's more of an informational package. We have a 6-hour-long DVD that we just released, which is the Toronto hearings on 9/11. That took place here last year for the 10th anniversary. And it was a lot of guest speakers, people who are very prominent in the 9/11 Truth community. And so we documented this 4-day event, set up like 6 cameras and filmed the whole thing for 4 days, and have been editing it together for the last 6 months, and just put that one out there. And that's available at pressfortruth.ca. And we're going to be uploading all of the interviews and the presentations that were given to pressfortruth.ca, so we can just get that info out there. But that's the latest from us, and some of the latest information too, in regards to some of the things that happened on 9/11 and didn't happen on 9/11. And as you say, though, I think people are starting to see through the lies. People knew when this so-called bin Laden raid on his compound in Pakistan there was, not exactly as they were telling us it was. And
that compound is gone now, Dan. If you wanted to go in there and get any DNA evidence or fingerprints or something, just something to prove that bin Laden was even there without his kidney dialysis machine, by the way, watching porn, as they say, you wouldn't be able to get that because they've eliminated the evidence. All evidence is eliminated. Did you see there was a WikiLeaks, and I don't put a lot of stock in what I think WikiLeaks is controlled opposition personally, and we've covered that extensively on this show with some people that would know. But did you see that they'd hacked into that Stratfor, and Stratfor was allegedly talking about how they didn't get bin Laden, or they had him dead and they were going to roll him out. I don't know how much of that carries any water or any weight, because if they had bin Laden on ice, we'd be looking at him right now. I mean, they had to just literally fake this whole thing out. Some people say it's because of the birther issue. They wanted to obfuscate from that. They wanted to create a diversion from that being big news. But it certainly became a feather in Obama's cap, and as I just said, there's no evidence. But what do you think of those Stratfor emails? Did you get a chance to look at those, Dan? And does that mean anything? I don't know.
I heard about the Stratford emails. I didn't get a chance to actually go through it and look through it myself, so I can't really speak to that. I haven't gone through it all. But certainly, as you said, I mean, Obama is still using the even now dead boogeyman to grandstand to possibly get himself reelected. But yeah, as far as the Stratford emails, I haven't had a chance to really go through them all.
The Tories here are going to have a really hard time making the case that Obama isn't tough on terrorism. It's amazing that they even try to make that, isn't it, Dan? I mean, when you're looking at the drone attacks, the attacking of Libya, the attacking of Syria, which is about to happen, and all of the things that Obama has done, the unlawful detentions, the NDAA, the assassinating of American terrorists, allegedly terrorists, it's hard to make the case that you're going to be tougher on terrorism than him, or you're going to have a tougher foreign policy than this guy. Why would you even go there? Do you want to get into that at all?
Yeah, well, like, how do you mean? Sorry, I didn't quite follow you there.
Okay, I know, because that was a convoluted question. That's my fault. Mitt Romney, they're going to try to outdo themselves on foreign policy. But doesn't it seem like it's an impossible task when you look at all that Obama has accomplished? I mean, he is Obusha. He's Bush on steroids, at least in my opinion. How are you going to make that case in the debates in front of the American people as this presidential campaign goes out, that you're going to be tougher than Obama when he killed Osama bin Laden, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they're going to convince the people of that. And I suppose these are some of the things they're going to be discussing very soon at the upcoming Bilderberg conference in Chantilly, Virginia. It seems that is most likely going to be one of the main topics on the agenda for this current Bilderberg meeting that's coming up is, which route that the globalists want to take. Is it the Romney route or is it the Obama route? And, I like the idea of this Occupy Bilderberg idea. I'm kind of on the fence with the whole Occupy movement. But I think it's a good idea to expose what's going on at Bilderberg this year, because certainly it may play into the election a little later on this year.
I'm for Occupy Bilderberg. I'm for Occupy Bilderberg. How's that sound? We can all join forces on that one. They're back to Chantilly. Are you going? In I guess when does that happen here? In just a few months?
I believe it's May 31st to June 3rd.
Okay.
I'd love to go. It's not looking like I'm going to be able to make it at this point, but you never know. You never know what may happen. I may be able to get out there. Certainly would love to go. I've done it once before. Went to a Bilderberg conference in 2006, and I got to say, it feels good to confront those guys, to where they're meeting, when they're meeting, and just to be there and let them know that people are on to them, people are beginning to expose them for what they're doing. So yeah, I would certainly love to go if I can pull that off. I will.
Dan Dix is with us, pressfortruth.ca from Canada. Have you ever heard of something called the Clinton Global Initiative?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. See, that is kind of like Davos. It's actually Bilderberg on steroids, and it's always amazing to me. I mean, I'm really happy that people are paying so much attention to Bilderberg, and we're getting their minutes, and we can kind of find out what they're talking about. Same thing with the Council on Foreign Relations. But it does seem a little short-sighted to ignore these massive globalist groups like the Clinton Global Initiative that has a membership list that makes the Bilderberg conference kind of look like child's play. We talk about Bohemian Grove, we talk about Bilderberg Group because they're scary and fascinating, but there's some stuff right out in front of us, like the Clinton Global Initiative. Go look at their membership list, folks, and then look at what happens in Davos, Switzerland every year at the World Economic Conference, and how this is how they recruit new people, and you'll hear what they're talking about there is exactly what's going to happen. One of the things we heard in Davos this year from George Soros was that capitalism has seen its end. That this is it for capitalism. It's destroyed itself, and we're moving on to some kind of global socialism here, where we need bigger governments to protect us and to control the money supply so we don't hurt ourselves. I don't know why people don't get that this is happening and why we're not having the right debates in your media up there. I think you have a better media than us. It's not saying much, but do you hear any of this stuff on mainstream radio, mainstream media?
No, absolutely not. You don't get a whole lot of mainstream out here covering stuff like that, and I suppose that's precisely why we are kicking up our efforts and just continuing to do what we do, because there's such a lack of this kind of information getting out there. So. I'm certainly gonna want to look into that one a little more. That sounds very intriguing.
Yeah, it's the Fabian socialists run amok. There are a lot of Rhodes scholars like Rachel Madcow, and I don't know if you know who she is, on Microsoft, General Electric, Comcast network. Yeah, they have no interest in the war on terror at all. They just profit from it. That's all. They'll tell us the truth. As I talked about on this show the other day, Dan, we were watching the election coverage in 2008, where we perfectly predicted everything that was going to happen. And thank you, but it's not that we're psychic. It's just we read, And there was Rachel Madcow on the General Electric channel minutes after Obama had been selected, talking about how we need to go kill the terrorists and attack Pakistan. And then he got the Nobel Peace Prize like 2-3 months later. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I can't believe they would award somebody like him, the Nobel Peace Prize. That loses all credibility for me for what that prize is all about.
Canadian Action Party, also great folks up there in Canada. Do you talk to those guys much?
Yeah. I talked to them. I interviewed the leader, Christopher Porter, about a month or two ago. And I keep up on what those guys are doing. Sometimes they're the only party really around here that's pushing for things like monetary reform and speaking out against the North American Union agenda and stuff like that. I personally don't align myself with any political party, but certainly Canadian Action Party is heading in the right direction anyways. People should check that out for sure.
What about Ron Paul? Who's the Ron Paul of Canada, and are you following his crazy campaign down here?
Yeah, it's I've been paying close attention. It's pretty incredible the amount of attention he's getting lately. His popularity is just exploding online. Obviously mainstream media would present it in another way, but he's getting incredibly popular, and it's very cool. It's very cool and exciting to see how far along he is coming. I mean, at this stage in the game, however, you don't just become president of the United States or something like that unless you have been indoctrinated into the various, groups, the secret societies. You've been the chosen one brought up. So, it's hard to say what's going to happen. If Ron Paul actually managed to get in and win, maybe at that point I'd start to wonder about him. But
I think that's the same for a lot of people. In fact, when Peter Thiel, part of the PayPal mafia, started funding the campaign through a super PAC, and he's on the Bilderberg steering committee, a lot of people kind of were scratching their heads on that one. He's a big libertarian, but does it make sense? Would it be either on the one side, or some of these Bilderbergers defecting because of what they've heard, or is this just another way to control the campaign? And I've seen some of these elements of control in the Ron Paul campaign. There can be no doubt about it, but I don't think that really gets in the way of the message, the ideas, and the real grassroots that's out there. Do you have an equivalent of someone like that in Canada, Dan?
I don't think we do. As I'm sitting here thinking about it, not one single name comes to mind.
You could apply for that job, man.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's not such a bad idea because, no. I guess the simple answer is no. We don't really have the equivalent of someone like that here. But I wish we did, because pretty much everything that comes out of his mouth, I agree with. I think he's bang on most of the time.
You need to find someone with like a 30-year track record, though. Is somebody in your Canadian Parliament who's been the one guy who stood up against the other 500 guys, and that's what Ron Paul has going for him. Not only is he really smart and he's authentic, at least he is. His campaign sometimes, as we just said, I'm not sure, but he himself has a track record of being right, of standing up against tyranny, standing up for liberty and freedom. And so that's kind of the person you'll need wherever you guys are at. And what we're seeing now, especially what we just saw in France, is we get rid of NATO's boy, Sarkozy, but then they put in, the socialist Hollande, who's obviously tapped into the Bilderbergers and all that too. So they've got the candidate A and the candidate B. No one is coming to save you, Dan. We've got to save ourselves. Dan Dix is with us, pressfortruth.ca. Dan is keeping it beard up there in Canada. You'd fit in well here in Austin, my friend. You got to come down and visit us sometime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to come down there for quite some time. Is that I believe where the next G8 might be? I think it was supposed to be in Chicago, and then they moved it to Camp David, I believe, which is in Texas.
No,
is that right?
No, Camp David's not in Texas, but
okay.
I would be. It's in Maryland, I believe. I would be. I would love that, actually. Yeah, because I can't afford to go to these G8 meetings. So good luck with that. We've got a pretty heavy resistance here in Austin, as you know, so including Adam Curry, who's coming up next right here on No Agenda. Dan, you play music. You got to bring your music down here as well, and we'll try to get you a gig if you're on tour through the States. But I'm about to play your song, Detained. You want to set it up for us?
Detained. You know what? When I put out all these tracks. I recently put 16 tracks from. I did all the music for all of my films, Into the Fire and United We Fall and The Nation's Deathbed, and I recently made all the tracks available for download at pressfortruth.tv. But when I wrote the songs for the films, I didn't really have a name for them all. So the night before I uploaded them, I just started naming all these tracks So, to be quite honest, I can't remember which one Detained is.
I knew you'd say that somehow, but we'll let it speak for itself. Folks, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back with Dan Dix. This is his song that he doesn't really know, but he'll know when he hears it. It's Detained. Stay with us on the Jack Blood Show. With the Jack Blood Show, I want to tell you about something really, really cool. It is silvercoins.ag. Now, AG is the symbol for silver on the periodic table of elements. Silvercoins.ag is the new website for cheap silver coins. Silvercoins.ag automatically surfs popular online retailers for silver coin bargains based on the minute-to-minute fluctuations of the silver market. Silvercoins.ag focuses on silver purchases from $5 to $50, but of course big junk silver bags and monster boxes are available too. Purchases can generally be done using a credit card or even PayPal, so you have multiple layers of buyer protection. Silvercoins.ag has no annoying salesmen. Silvercoins.ag has live streaming metal prices, so you don't have to refresh your browser all day long. Stop the endless web surfing for the best silver coin deals, because now you can visit and bookmark silvercoins.ag. I use it. I want all your friends to use it. You tell them Jack Blood sent you.
If we don't get well prepared, we will most certainly regret it. Much of the storable food available is full of bad fats, salt, sugar, nutrient-poor refined food, and even MSG. In response, EnerHealth Botanicals have created our 40-day, 40-night, 100% organic preparedness pail. It's GMO-free, 10 to 20-year shelf life. The pail contains enough whole food and nutrition for one person to survive well for 40 days and nights, with recipes too. Some of the items need cooking, some can be eaten dry, while some can be soaked and sprouted. The pail includes organic rolled oats, millet, brown rice, green lentils, garbanzo beans, black beans, pinto beans, quinoa, pancake mix, non-fat powdered milk, sprout blend, sprouted sunflower seeds, organic Enerfood, chia seeds, miso powder, and a Cajun spice blend to give some flavor to your meals.
Order the pail now. Call 866-762-9238, 866-762-9238, or go to enerfood.com. That's ENERFOOD. Use coupon code BLOOD to get special discounts.
You're listening to No Agenda Global Radio because you escaped from your mother's basement. There are black helicopters, and there is something you can do about it. Stay tuned for further bolos, comprehensive information, and shit that's true that no one will ever believe.
I'll tell you what it is. It's some kind of goddamn Texas psychobilly freakout. That explains it. That will explain everything. That was Dan Dix. The Reverend. And I am the Reverend Jack Blood, right here with you. The Jack Blood Show, NoAgendaStream.com. The No Agenda Show with Adam and John coming up here in just about 15 minutes. We'll get you backstage for that, and then the show will officially start at the top of the hour. Love me some of the Rev, and love guys like Dan Dix out there. That's really what it's all about.
He say love
You
Dix.
get out there, you be the one guy that gets out there, start telling the truth, then everybody starts going, hey, I like what that guy's doing. I want to join him. I want to start my own truth movement. I want to start my own organization, and I want to tell everyone, hey, this is what's going on, not what our governments and our bought and paid for media have told us. Dan, God, I don't know why it took you so long to get on the show. I'm taking the blame for it, but it's good to have you today. Thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So what is it that you do a lot of documentary work, and we could talk about any number of issues. You're pretty much up to speed on it. But when you do interviews, what is it that people just fail to ask you that you go, man, I wish that guy would have asked me that instead of the same old questions? So what message are you bringing today that if I didn't ask you, you'd want to talk about?
Oh, boy. Geez, I don't even know where to begin on that. That is a good question right there, I suppose.
No one's ever asked you that before. You don't even know how to respond.
Exactly. That's the first.
When you got up this morning and you were thinking, okay, I'm going to go on this show, what is the one thing that you really wanted to hit home? What's the home run you wanted to hit here?
Yeah, to be quite honest, I usually don't think too far ahead. Sometimes, I mean, when I first started doing this stuff, I used to, back in the day, get a little bit nervous for interviews, and I would try to think about what sort of things I might want to say. And I found that if I over-prepare or if I think about things too much, it just doesn't come across well. And so I decided a long time ago to just wing it, always just wing it, and not really think too much about it at all going into it. So I hadn't really put any.
Well, I'm
thought
glad
into
I
it.
asked. Then I'm really. So at least I've done that. I've extended that to you, my friend, and you cannot say now that I didn't give you a chance to throw down one of your traditional rants or something, because I'll just do that when I'm on interviews. People will ask me about the weather, and I'll just go into a completely different thing, a rant, because I'm there to talk, man, about what I got on my chest, and I got to get it off. No pun intended.
Well, I would like to mention that, with the new website at pressfortruth.tv, we've really been kicking up our efforts, and I'm doing videos every single day now. I do daily videos, and it's a great way for people to show their support. We still put out a lot of information on YouTube, put out all of our films for free and that sort of stuff, but we need people's support, so I started the subscription-based site where I'm doing videos every single day, just covering the issues, the news of the day from the Press for Truth perspective. So if people like my work, people like what they've been seeing, and they want to show their support, great way to do that is to go check out pressfortruth.tv and become a subscriber there, and then you get access to all the daily videos, the weekly video reports, and then high-quality downloads of all our films and all the music, and everything is there, and that's just a great way to show your support, and it'll hopefully keep us going.
Good luck with that one. I've been threatening to do subscriptions for our website and for some of our work for quite some time, Dan, and I'm still in the process of trying to give my work away for free, and it's going okay. But I think my listeners, when they hear subscriptions, they go, uh-oh. But that's how it works.
Yes.
You know, we talk about, voting with your dollars here, supporting the people that are helping you get the truth out or helping you preserve or get your liberties back. And you're one of those guys. So people, they have to realize that though we love doing what we do, we'll do it every day. We'll do it for free. We still have to feed ourselves and pay rent and stuff. So if you want more of these documentary films that Dan's been making, and you want more of the news and the riffs that you get up on his site, then you gotta help him out a little bit. That's a way to do it. One of the things you put out, we copied over on our site today, the underwear bomber and the re-education camps. Yesterday we had Kurt Haskell on the show. He had some interesting stuff to say about Underwear Bomber 2. I didn't see the rant yet, so give us the breakdown. What was it about? How does re-education camps come into all this?
Well, basically, we know that the it's the CIA who's behind all of these foiled terrorist plots and so forth. And I guess I bring up the point that it's they're not concerned with so-called terrorists. What they're more concerned with is patriots and people in the truth movement and freedom fighters and people who are exposing their PSYOP operations and their black op false flags, and those are the ones that are of concern to people like the CIA. So that's why it's interesting about with the recent document that was leaked, showing how they are setting up training manuals for how to train the military, how to set up re-education camps, these things are called. And when I first heard about it, I thought it was just insane. It sounds like something out of a movie or something. But they've officially had to announce that, yes, this indeed is real. However, it's not intended for use on American citizens, and this info was never meant to get out to the public in the first place. But bottom line is it did get out there. And so it's certainly troubling, and it shows that they're concerned with the massive awakening that's happened over the last 10 years or so, and especially in the last 5 years. So many people getting active and kicking up their efforts, starting websites, using their YouTube channels and getting active. So they have to figure out a way to combat that, I suppose, and it looks like they're getting their ducks in a line and setting it up to start dealing with some of these people.
Yeah, you cannot let the internet be feral anymore. Look, and we've talked about this a little bit, Dan, in the past, that being in the room, being the fly on the wall when they decided to give us the internet. It was a military application. It was in universities. We were on some of the first chats and stuff that they had going over there. And then at some point they went, all right, well, let's just let the people have this because we can indoctrinate them, we can sell them stuff. I mean, there's just all this stuff we can accomplish by doing this. And there was the other guy in the room going, but what if they use it against us? That'll never happen. Mm-hmm. They're too stupid and too drugged up and too under our control. It's the imperial hubris, supposedly. And now at this point, they're looking and going, that guy was right. We've got to do something about that. And Jay Rockefeller, that's John D. Rockefeller IV, I believe, he is leading the charge very quietly. And I guess that would bring us to CISPA. You guys covered that. We had SOPA and PIPA and all these other things that didn't pass. The people did put enough pressure on our Congress here to stop in the United States. But CISPA did pass, and Obama says he's going to veto it. Do you believe that? And do you want to talk about CISPA for a minute?
Sure. I would have to say I don't believe that. I believe that Obama said a similar thing about the NDAA, that it would be vetoed, but then, of course, he went ahead and signed off on it. So it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination to think he's going to do the same thing.
He had a signing statement on that, just to be clear, that he wouldn't do it while he's president, so you better keep him in office. That was a little campaigning tool there, but they're using it. And they didn't need to use it. I mean, they were already using it. They codified it, and so it's just like Hitler. It makes all this stuff legal that they do. CISPA is going to pick and choose, what websites, what you can do and say on the internet for our safety. And it's largely, they say, about internet hackers, this kind of a thing, and not even so much as terrorism. But we have seen in the past, Dan, that they have the Internet Patriot Act already written. They just need basically what they call a new Pearl Harbor on the internet. We've got to just trust them that happens because they can manufacture evidence pretty easy in that case. And this is just a totalitarian tiptoe, a little step incrementally in that direction. Did you see that on June 9th, if the powers that be, the government, the people in charge of our internet allegedly, if they think we have a virus on our website or personally on our personal computers, that we're not going to get online on June 9th. We're done until they tell us we're okay. That's a pretty sneaky way to pick and choose who can be on the internet and what they could say.
Absolutely. I hadn't heard about that one. But there's been a lot ramping up in regards to these internet false flags. I remember, I think it was about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, CNN put on this fake, kind of like a scenario where they had to deal with what it would be like if there was a cyber security threat or the whole internet was shut down or whatever. And it seems like there's a little bit of preconditioning going on there that they want people to get used to the idea that this is something that may happen. And as we know, they will use it as the excuse to introduce Internet 2 and just completely clamp down on our rights and say, look, guys, we need to regulate this thing more. Otherwise, the terrorists might come in and get you, so.
Maurice Strong up in Canada was leading that charge with many networks one. It's kind of like e pluribus unum, out of many one, and that's out of many governments there'll be one government. That's kind of the end game here, as we know, get up to the capstone of that pyramid. But Maurice Strong created many one networks, and what he was trying to do, he's the Canadian billionaire that was personally discovered by David Rockefeller at the United Nations when he was 18 years old. He's now advising China. He's been in China, and he's also one of the leaders of the Green Movement, allegedly, locked in with the Bronfman family pretty heavily, and the Green Movement in Canada, which has been completely absorbed by the Borg. But many one networks, it was to get all of the telecommunications providers all on the same page to scrap the Internet and, as you said, create a new Internet. But I don't know. I think this one's working pretty good. I mean, you look at how they've been databasing us. You look at the accomplishments of Facebook for intelligence gathering. That's where I kind of get off is, well, yeah, sure, there's going to be some backlash, and yeah, there's going to be guys like you and me and the people on this network and other networks telling it out there, as Petey Green used to say. Thank you. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of it's working really good. A lot of people, have really volunteered to database themselves and put forth all this information. And just think, if we didn't have computers, I mean, what would they know? They'd have to tap our phones. What would they have to read our mail again? It'd be old school. How would they know every little thing we're doing, and how would they be able to profile all of us? So the Internet, too, if it does come, will look a lot like this. But on June 9th, hey, I don't know. You may not be able to get on my website. I have no idea. Copyrights is certainly the other issue, Dan, where they're saying, this is why we got to produce our own original content here, but they're saying that, by me embedding videos on my website or even playing clips on this show, I'm somehow infringing on somebody's copyrights, and they've got to stamp that out. I've literally had my YouTubes removed by people like the Howard Hughes estate because they own some copyright I might have stepped on. Meanwhile, I'm giving my work away for free. But copyrights, Dan, do you get into that much? Because that's really insidious little way to take away our Internet freedoms.
Yeah, it's completely an excuse right now. They're not really concerned with protecting intellectual property. And as you said, it's just about shutting down the free flow of information and being able to block websites such as yours and mine from putting out these types of videos. And people are starting to see through that now. And it's just like you said, I mean, the Internet is certainly a double-edged sword. We can use it to network together and fight back, but they can also use it to unite the world. We got to remember, it's all about, when you want a one world government and a one world currency and all these sorts of things, you need people to be on the same page. You need people to be united as one, and it looks like the Internet now is going to be that mechanism that's going to make that possible, with billions and billions of people joining together.
Right, and they use that as an excuse for the phony Arab Spring and all the rest. And we've got LULAC that was FBI, we found out now, and we've got WikiLeaks that is part of George Soros, according to John Young from Kotomi. He said that on my show. We got Bradley Manning. These are all the excuses now to stop us from using this great, efficient tool to communicate called the Internet. But look, we're out there. We're guarding it. Guys like you are guarding it. Thank you, Dan, for being on today. I got to jump, but it is pressfortruth.ca. Go look at all of Dan's great videos over there. Become a subscriber. Support him. Support this show as well and this network. We got our donation chipper up at deadlinelive.info. I got to get out of here, Dan. Thanks so much for being with us, folks. We'll see you tomorrow for our Friday.